Nobody warned me about the kind of loneliness you can feel in a room full of people. That's what I started calling it. You're in a full room, fire going, everyone laughing and talking and having a good time. You're right there in the middle of it, pint in hand, smiling when someone catches your eye, and you have never felt more invisible in your life. Not because anyone was unkind, not because anyone ignored you, because nobody in that room really knew who you were yet, and you had no idea how to close that gap. I sat with that feeling for months before I understood what it actually was. Here's the thing about moving to a country where people are genuinely warm and friendly. You don't expect to be lonely. That's the trap. You've heard about Irish hospitality, and it's real. People are kind, conversations start easily, strangers will help you without being asked. So when the loneliness comes anyway, it catches you completely off guard. And because it seems like it has no right to exist, you don't talk about it. You don't even want to admit it to yourself. The specific loneliness I'm talking about isn't about being physically alone. I was rarely alone in those first months. I had colleagues, neighbors, people I'd chat to in the coffee shop, a few people I was starting to see regularly enough to call almost friends. My life looked, from any reasonable outside perspective, pretty full. But there's a kind of connection that takes years to build, the kind where someone knows your actual history, where you can mention something that happened 2 years ago and they remember it, where you don't have to explain who you are from scratch every single time you meet. That kind of connection doesn't follow you when you move countries. You leave it behind. And what you have instead for a long time is a lot of pleasant surface, warmth without depth, kindness without history. I felt that gap most on Sunday afternoons. There's something about Sundays in Ireland, especially in winter, that amplifies everything you're already feeling. The country goes quiet. Shops close early, streets empty out, the light fades by 4 o'clock. If you have real people to be with, a Sunday in Ireland is the coziest thing in the world. If you don't, or if you have people but not the right kind yet, it can feel very, very long. I spent a lot of those Sundays walking, not because I wanted to walk, because being inside with the silence felt harder than being outside in the cold. I'd walk through whatever neighborhood I was in, past houses with lights on and curtains not quite closed, and catch glimpses of other people's Sundays, families at tables, couples on sofas, the blue flicker of a television through a window. And I'd feel this specific ache that I couldn't name at the time. I know what it is now, but I didn't know then. Irish friendships are some of the deepest I've ever seen. I mean that genuinely. But they take time in a way I wasn't prepared for. Most Irish people have had the same friends since they were teenagers. They grew up together, went to school together, went through things together that created a bond that's old and close and doesn't have much obvious room for a newcomer. Nobody excludes you on purpose, it's not like that. But there's an inside that exists, and you are on the outside of it. And you can feel the warmth coming from inside, and you can see the depth of it, and the wanting to be part of it only makes the distance more obvious. I had a colleague here who I got along with really well. Good conversations, same sense of humor, the kind of person I genuinely liked. And one day I found out that he and 4 other people from our office had been close friends since secondary school. They had a group chat that went back years, references I didn't get, jokes with histories I wasn't part of, and nobody had thought to include me. Not out of meanness, it just hadn't occurred to anyone because there was no natural way in. That hurt more than I expected, and it felt stupid to be hurt by it, which somehow made it worse. The other thing about loneliness in Ireland is the quiet. When the external noise stops and Ireland is genuinely deeply quiet, the internal noise gets louder. All the things you've been too busy to feel start to surface, and some of those things are lonely. I think Ireland carries its own sadness too. Not a dark sadness, more like a gentle, old melancholy that comes from the history of the place. Generations of people leaving, families scattered across the world, a whole culture that has always had immigration built into its story. You feel it in the music, in the way Irish people talk about the dead like they're still nearby, in the particular weight of certain evenings when the sky is low and gray and the wind comes in from the west. When you're already lonely, you pick that sadness up. It sits with yours, and it doesn't make it worse exactly. It just makes it feel less strange, like yours belongs somewhere. Here's what I eventually understood. The loneliness wasn't really Ireland's fault. Ireland was just the place where I finally slowed down enough to feel something that had already been there. The truth is, I had been lonely for a while before I moved, not the kind of lonely that looks lonely from the outside. I had friends, I had a social life, I had all the things that are supposed to mean you're connected. But I had stopped being really known by anyone, including myself. The friendships back home had thinned out the way adult friendships do, slowly, quietly, without anyone deciding to let them go. People got busy, life got complicated, the deep conversations became shorter and less frequent. And I'd kept telling myself it was fine. This is just what adult life looks like. Everyone is the same. Ireland stripped away the activity and the motion that had been letting me believe that. And without it, I had to admit something I'd been avoiding for years. I missed being close to someone. Not romantically, in the way where someone just actually knows you, knows what you're scared of and what you want, and what you were like before you became whoever you are now. I hadn't had that in a long time. Ireland made me realize I had been grieving it without knowing what I was grieving. That realization hurt, but it also helped, because once you know what you're actually missing, you can do something about it. I started making real effort with the people who were becoming friends here, not just seeing them, actually showing up, being honest when things were hard instead of saying I was fine, asking questions I actually wanted the answers to. And slowly, very slowly, the surface started to have something under it. The loneliness didn't go away, I want to be honest about that. It still shows up sometimes on certain Sundays, in certain quiet evenings when the winter light disappears before 5 o'clock. But it changed. It stopped feeling like a sign I had made a mistake and started feeling like just part of the deal, part of being somewhere new and real and quiet enough to tell you the truth. Ireland didn't create my loneliness, it just revealed it. And there's a difference. Because what gets revealed can be looked at, understood, worked with. What stays hidden just gets heavier. If you're in it right now, the pub loneliness, the Sunday loneliness, the kind that doesn't make sense because everything looks fine from the outside, I want you to know it's real. You're not being dramatic, you're not failing at the move. You're just in the part nobody talks about because it doesn't make good content. This channel is for that part. Subscribe if you want more of this, and leave a comment below. Did you feel this too? What did it look like for you? I'll read every single one, and I'll be here.